Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Write-Up. We've got a decently sized haul, so let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got X-Men Before the Fall, Heralds of Apocalypse. So this is one of the lead-in one-shots to Fall of X. Where we last left Apocalypse, he and his wife Genesis had been reunited after the events of Ten of Swords. And he was their prisoner, the prisoner that was exchanged to Amenth, while Araco was exchanged with to Krakoa. So, while meditating, an Amenthi demon, while Apocalypse is meditating, an Amenthi demon asks him what strength is. But he first off he does explain that Apocalypse is a corrupted name, mangled by history. At once, yes, it pleased him that his name meant final destruction. But the time for such blunt concepts has ended, and so he is a more ancient word with more resistant meaning, revelation. But after this conversation, which is ended abruptly by Genesis' blade, we flash back on when Iska presented her brother-in-law with the blade Scarab around the time of the birth of Apocalypse and Genesis, one of Apocalypse and Genesis' children, Death. This is back in the day of Okara. We also get the new history of Araco, Chapter 1. Once I was lost, now I am found, and this is my story. First there was Okara, the one land of mutants. It was ancient before that word existed, but not yet old. In the way they yeah, the handwriting, the way it's the font is not even easy to read. Then came Amenth, Annihilation, of course, the Forge of the Twilight Sword. But we see a duel between A and Genesis. A duel that is interrupted by Mariana Stern of Covenant Aqaba. Basically informing, telling Genesis what has become of Araco. as she leads her children with the Annihilation Mask. Well, the Annihilation Staff. Before she leaves, A states that if conquering Araco is her path, then she should walk it alone, namely without annihilation. But she refuses. And A is surprised at the demon's survival. But then he says that his love will test him once more. Though the demon is shocked that A feels he himself needs testing. Though A explains that we all do, the strong most of all. To face the test is to face the revelation, and the revelation never ends. And that is where the issue ends. Apparently, an upcoming, I think, an arc that is poised to coincide the X-Men Red arc for Fall of X is the Genesis War, which will see Genesis returning to Araco to basically make it her own again. We'll have to see how that all plays out. Apparently, she's not happy with the fact that how Storm has been running things. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Deadpool, number 8. So, last issue, we learned that at this point, while the editor does still wish to kill Deadpool, they're actually quite interested in his symbiote dog, Princess. But also, something else to keep in mind is that Deadpool does have a daughter named Billy. We open with a note from Cable to Deadpool about Billy. Apparently, Cable's been keeping tabs on her, just like Wade asked her. Doing all right, grades are good, family is as good as they can be, they're settling in. He suggested Wade write to her. Adding that, while Cable knows Wade doesn't think Billy wants to see him or know him, but he needs to give Billy the chance to make that her own decision instead of beating himself up and hiding from his responsibility. Adding if Wade can't forgive himself enough to do it, then to do it for her. Wade wakes up face to face with Billy. No scarring, and and apparently a house. Not a big, nothing huge. Nice though. Having breakfast with Cable, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Domino. Cable's cooking. But Wade feels something's missing. It's a plot. Let's see, what was it? Aster and Alcadon are taking their shot at Deadpool. But Valentine steps in to help, but Alcadon manages to take down Wade, Valentine, and Princess, though apparently Alcadon's using a poison that was initially developed by Valentine specifically for Deadpool to prevent it from healing. And Alkadon, with the aid of Miss Junko, take Princess, and the issue has the Valentine attempting to counteract the poison. We had a profile on Aster. Name Aster, alias Aster, though I have to wonder if it's a fairy thing, kind of a true names hold power to keep them secret type of deal, or she's just really dumb. Apparent cause of death is she was physically assaulted, as in salt was poured on her. That is where the issue ends. I have to admit, I kind of thought maybe this was going to maybe relate to what we saw in the Uncanny Avengers Free Comic Book Day. I assume that will come up soon, after all, but if for no other reason the fact that Deadpool is apparently going to be part of this Uncanny Avengers lineup. So, otherwise, good issue. I do. Of course, we did get the set that yes, Vietelier is still going after Wade. So, moving on though to our next book, we've got Storm number 2. Where we left off, Storm is questioning her powers. Her and as well as her control due to freak weather accidents that occur near the areas where she was recently. She also met a man named Travis, who is an inventor who's trying to make something that could, help do some good for the planet. But she also encountered an entity and began into a battle with that entity. You see the battle. Again, her powers don't seem to be working the way they're supposed to. Torrent of wind becomes, or a tornado becomes flame. But she's warned. She's told she's lost and she's her own shadow. Back at the mansion, Wolverine is setting up for a training session that Storm wanted. Apparently, with Colossus having watched some, at least Colossus and Rogue having watched some boxing videos the night before as research. Basically, trying to get Colossus to be more to be less of a less of a bull in a china shop and more of a boxer. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. In fact, apparently that is Muhammad Ali is stated to be Colossus' favorite boxer. But also to get Rogue to pull punches, or at least not hit as hard as she can all the time. While Colossus does great, Rogue fails. After Storm's fight, she apparently washes ashore at the boathouse that Travis is staying in. They talk some about who she is and her past. The two of them share a kiss, and she says she wants him to meet the X-Men. The information's been passed along, and while Xavier has Kitty Pryde looking into it, they are still getting ready for a Neotech conference. Travis is quite the charmer, speaking what little bit of conversational German he knows to Nightcrawler upon picking up on Nightcrawler's accent. Kitty's there, following Travis's apparent manager, though the manager turns out to be none other than Mystique, who convinces Kitty to help help Mystique destroy Travis, because hey, yeah, kind of have Storm back. Speaking of which, Wolverine, for whatever reason, doesn't like Travis. But Storm smacks Wolverine around a bit, and then Storm resigns. Basically saying, Wolverine has a team then, because she's quitting. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. Mystique was also present in the first issue, as the first issue did begin with the X-Men and the Brotherhood duking it out in an abandoned amusement park. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 28. Where we left off, Doc Ock's original arms had been assaulted by his new arms, and but had managed to make an escape and went to J. Jonah Jameson for aid. And Jameson brought them to Peter. So Peter and Jameson take the arms, now occupying a shopping cart, to Oscorp. Peter and Jameson convince Osborn to fix the arms. Though Craven and Doc Ock are arguing about Ock's methodology. And as a means of showing superiority, Doc Ock does somewhat attack Craven with the octoids that make up his new arms. But Peter and Norman are able to fix the arms. Though Norman has to, Norman is a little bit more, does know a bit more about the arms than Peter, but the arms communicate a diagnostic tree set up. Doc Ock arrives at Oscorp. His octoids manage to infiltrate the building systems, and Peter armors up and deals with Doc Ock. Tries to, at least, but is defeated. And so Norman Osborn suits up as the Gold Goblin and is defeated as well, as apparently Otto has managed to get into the Oscorp systems and is able to shut down the Gold Goblin armor. But part of this is a plan against Norman because of what the Goblin King took from him. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting arc. It is nice seeing Otto back. He's always a fun Spidey villain. Moving on, though, to our last book for the moment, we've got Carnage Reigns Omega. Where we left off, Iron Man had joined the fight, and basically gave Miles a new Iron Spider suit to, in part, to heal the damage that Carnage had done to Miles. So Miles and Tony go after Carnage, trying to stop him. Even bringing together, getting Scorpion and Hightail to work with them, with Scorpion asking if this makes them like real Avengers now. Um, Also, the Carnageized Iron Man drones arrive on the scene. And Red Goblin, who's starting to feel a little better, gets in to help and is able to is actually able to shut down Cletus's influence on the crowd, at least. A bit of Carnage symbiote, or of the symbiote gets loose, and Kenneth Neely takes it, and he goes to help Carnage. However, Tony and Miles are able to bring down the extrembiote. With a Venom Blast from Miles helping to really finish it off, as well as a high-level Sonic Blast, which does seem to take down the extrembiote armor. But Carnage's influence is gone. Tony gives Miles a ride home with a detour to White Castle. And Miles tells his parents what happened, but there is still a portion of the extrembiote left, and yes, it's still imprinted upon. It's still got Cletus's essence imprinted upon it. And that is where the story ends. For now. We've still, of course, got Death of the Venomverse, Web of Carnage, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's not over. It's just, for the moment. Honestly, I really enjoyed this story. I haven't read... The Carnage story I've read almost always deal with Peter Parker having to face Carnage, and honestly, it's a good. It's great because Carnage is the kind of Carnage is so much more than the usual kind of villain that Spider-Man has to face, and there's also the fact that kind of sort of Spider-Man is responsible for Carnage. He brought the symbiote to Earth in the first place, after all. But I like seeing Miles having to deal with Cletus as well. It's all because again, similar things, just without the whole Miles didn't bring the symbiote to Earth, but having to see Miles deal with Carnage at least is quite interesting. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.